There's a little bit of a twist which happened, which is that, let me just find the right photo viewer. Okay, here we go. What happened is that I met Alain Costa, who is on the left. I met him when I started in animation in Paris, pretty much, around the year 1979. I was working in a small commercial studio called Martin Baucher near the Opéra Garnier, near Avenue de l'Opéra. And he was on loan to Paul Grimaud's studio to help him out finishing The Roi et l'Oiseau, The King and Mr. Wonderbird. And he illustrated himself, in particular, animating beautifully the last shot of the movie with a little bird in a cage. And the big robot frees the little bird who just flies away while it crushes the cage to symbolize the quest for freedom. So in any case, knowing Alain allowed me to meet Paul Grimaud, which was a great pleasure and honor to meet the man for several occasions in his studio Rue de Beaubillot in the 13th arrondissement of Paris. And then later on, the twist I was mentioning about just earlier was that when I was in Australia in around 1987, out of work, Alain was writing to me from London, and he said, you should try to come over to London because I'm working on a fantastic project with Richard Williams. It's the story of a rabbit. It's called Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And at the time, with two other friends, we were trying to start a feature film in Australia. So I let a few months pass until the drawers were totally empty and we couldn't buy another can of spaghetti. So we decided to fly. First of all, we sent the trailer of a little project, The Adventures of Edo One, to Don Hahn, who was the executive producer on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And luckily, he hired us. When I say us, I mean my friend Brenda and myself. So that's how we got involved on this project. So I'm just going to show you a few other pictures involving, well, Mr. Zemeckis, of course, Bob Zemeckis, who was dispatched by Spielberg to direct this project. It was an understanding between the Walt Disney Studios and Amblimation, actually Amblin Entertainment, before Amblimation, which was Steven Spielberg's company, to do a film together. So basically Disney had a few projects in store, and they offered a choice to Steven Spielberg, and he picked this one. Then there is another picture. Things are not working the way I want, but never mind. Here's a picture with actually Bob Zemeckis, and you have, of course, the actor, Bob Hoskins, who was Eddie Valiant in the movie. You have Robert Watts, who was the producer of the Indiana Jones movie. Frank Marshall, who also produced Arachnophobia, Congo, and many others. And Nick Ranieri, the animator on Lumiere and Beauty and the Beast, and Jafar in Aladdin, and myself. So this man, Robert Watts, was actually looking for someone to be the animation director on the Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was commanded by Spielberg to find somebody, and they had different ideas in mind. They asked Don Bluth. I think Don Bluth did a little test, but they were not too excited about it. So he was visiting THX studios at the ranch, George Lucas Ranch in San Rafael. And the same day, Richard Williams was actually, okay, I go further. Here is Richard Williams. He was actually showing some reels of his project, Thief and the Cobbler, to none other than the great Milt Cole. Milt Cole, if you don't know of him, was the Michelangelo of Disney animation. He was responsible for most of the designs for about 40 years at the Disney studio, and was really, in my views and the view of many others, the best animator ever. In any case, what happened is that incidentally, Richard Williams showed Milt Cole some of his work on the Thief and the Cobbler, like I just said. And Robert Watts was popping his head in the door, and saw the stuff from Richard Williams. Here is a little cartoon by Richard Williams commenting about the great milk coal. And you see how his anchovies work, and Richard Williams very timidly asked him, when you work, are you listening to classical music? And here you have the short-tempered milk coal say, what do you think I am? I mean, I cannot think of two things at the same time, I can only think of one. So this is what happened. And after that, this slideshow would work. Okay, here is the next phase. And that's the Stephen the cover, actually. The project which turned into a film that we all know. Here's Don Hahn, the executive producer on Roger Rabbit, and the small crew at the beginning just arrived in London in September 1987. And here's Andres Deja on the right, and that's one of the drawings I worked on. I mean, the scenes I worked with Roger and Jessica on the hook. I was pretty much doomed to animate a majority of those shots. Here's a picture with Richard Williams and his book, The Animator's Survival Kit. And here is pretty much his motto: animation is concentration. Here is him, Richard Williams, conducting one of those animators meetings every Mondays, and some backgrounds from the short, from the movie. And that kitchen, of course, is gigantic. You will see why. Drawing of Jessica Rabbit, the sensuous Jessica. Background where Droopy appears with Bob Hoskins, and the voice of Droopy was made by Richard Williams. Another background of Toontown. Incidentally, the sequence of Toontown was produced in LA, not in London. Here's the dinner at Chatney's after the Oscars, and one of the covers they did for the French press, L'Express, for the release of the film. This is a gathering that happened on Little Mermaid, actually, with Andreas and Tom Sido and Jess Baxter. I also participated in Tommy Trouble, and those drawings are from Tommy Trouble, actually, which was the first shot of Roger Rabbit produced ahead of Dick Tracy. And those drawings come from Tommy Trouble. It's just a take with Roger. So you see the progression. Then coming up, just the last picture with Roger Chesson on the left. Just go back. Roger Chesson, excellent French-Canadian animator. Stan Green was also a living legend, and Richard Williams hired him to help him out with the fridge sequence at the beginning of the movie. And Joe, he was also the first assistant to McCall since Alice in Wonderland in 1952. And he replaced McCall when McCall left halfway through the picture on the Rescuers, the first Rescuers, and he finished animating Medusa, the villain character. And this is Joe Hader, who pitched the project of Hercules for Disney. Okay, so I just exit this, and then we're going to have a little visit, a quick visit. I'm sorry, the footage is not top quality, but it was shot with a 8mm movie camera, home movie camera. And I just want to show you a little bit of the ambiance on production in Camden Town at the time.